In his 24 plus years of experience spanning India, Indian subcontinent, and Asia Pacific, he has been associated with a host of brands from liquor to tea, from technology to teaching, from packaged good to political campaigns, from ready made apparels to ready to eat foods, and from automobiles to dishwashers. There has been many awards that came in his way during this journey. The most notable awards being the Euro FE for Incredible India and Asian FE for Samsung. A very warm welcome to you, sir. So, without any further delay, sir, I would request you to kindly enlighten us with your words of wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
We cannot see you properly. You have to slightly shift your. Yes, now it is better.
Better?
But yes, better, but maybe yeah. I think it is okay now.
Is the light less? Just give me a second. I'll increase the light. Is this better now?
Yes.
Okay. And I hope my screen is visible. I hope I'm audible. If there is an issue, let me know. So what I'll talk to you.
Everything is perfect now.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So instead of just doing COVID, what I'm trying to do is run you through what I think with capitalism and consumerism, and where is the new marketing paradigm that's likely to go and what is likely to happen. The issue is predicting future is tough. I'm not an astrologer. Even astrologers are getting it extremely wrong. If you guys have the habit of reading the morning astrology that comes for you, you all know that it's all wrong because you're not leaving your home, you're not going to work, you're not coming to school, you're not going to college, you're just cooped up, locked at home. So predicting future in this pandemic world is really, really difficult. So that's not what I'll try and do. But I'll try and run you through some very, how do I see this whole world moving and where I see where the world is going. We must realize that modern marketing is a product of capitalism and industrial revolution. If the industrial revolution hadn't happened, if factories hadn't come up, if the process of manufacturing goods wasn't very easy, the whole thing called marketing was never needed. The world would not have seen marketing because companies gave you choices. They had to drive you onto a retail shelf. They had to drive you to make you buy the product. They had to drive you to buy and choose and keep choosing their product and stuff like that. So this entire bit of marketing that exists today, the birth of that was the industrial revolution part. And all of this building of factories, steam engine, railroads, highways, lots and lots of mechanization that happened is the reason why the entire world went through this whole bit called marketing, and people needed marketing because you had to choose one car over another, one airline over another, one brand of clothes over another brand of clothes. And we ended up branding water and staples and all things that you could imagine, including countries. And that is where the whole world of marketing and branding went on. And so this whole explosion of choices created a cycle of consumption that led to creation of modern marketing theories. Now, when the industrial revolution started to happen, there wasn't Kotler, there wasn't Trout, there wasn't Jack Trout. None of these theories that we read today in our MBA classes was written then. In fact, that whole bit of this and the creation of marketing theories happened a little later. So you would realize that how industrial revolution impacted what all we have started to read as the marketing theory. So if you look at positioning, segmentation, proposition, personality, they all are a function of manufacturing age. They are not a function of tech age. And today we don't live in a manufacturing age. We actually live in a tech age. So a lot of this, any which way, and I'll run you through how I think a lot of marketing theories need to be revisited. And maybe some of you can start to write new marketing theories because you would live in a world which is very different from the 70s world that existed at that point of time. And marketing for long as envisaged by the masters was a linear process. If you look at the entire book of Kotler that you read through, it's all a linear process. It takes you from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4, and it's very much a formula. I don't know if that formula exists today because this was written for packaged goods. The entire Kotler book is written on how to sell packaged goods. Consistency, brand appeal, same thing to be said, consistently over a period of time is all written with the purpose of selling a packaged good. And I'll tell you how some of that theories were used to sell even something even more interesting. And to own a space in mind, you had to own a space in media. And that is where the entire marketing theory is. So it is almost about how much of reputation can I give to you of the same message so that you continue to buy and buy into my things and continue to live by what I'm telling you to live by. So there is this whole space in media and space in mind, and they go hand in hand. And a lot of argument today exists that says marketing is actually about spending money. Is it really about spending money, or is it about provoking me into doing something that you want me to do? And if it is provoking me to do something that the brand wants me to do, then the choices of media has started to change dramatically today. This is how the advertising agencies were born. So NW Iyer and Sons, I think 1869. This is supposed to be world's first advertising agency. This lived from 1869 to I think 2008 or 9 when it got sold to Publicis. And so now the advertising agency has ceased to exist. What is interesting is that at that point of time, Kotler hadn't written the book. There was no positioning theory. These guys actually used to sell space in religious calendars. So the first advertising agency that got born actually was selling space in calendars, religious calendars. And so born out of Philadelphia, but this agency has a great claim to fame. And that is this line, a diamond is forever. I think this line was written almost about 110 years back or 20 years back. And the line has stayed. Lots of things around it has changed. But De Beers hasn't given up the diamond is forever line. What's more interesting is that the agency was hired to increase the sales of diamonds post the Great Depression. So people weren't buying jewelry, people weren't buying gold, people weren't buying diamonds. And so this Antwerp-based small company went out to a US-based agency and said, can we do something to sell more diamonds to Americans? And out came a campaign that has become the sign for diamonds all over the world, including a James Bond movie that took the name from the same campaign. Coming back to Corona times, do we expect change to be major, systemic, long lasting, or we expect this change to be transient? Because some things have happened, will we now be able to do this change? Or this change, as soon as the world starts to reopen, a lot of this change will start to go away. So, how are we seeing this whole thing happen? It's essential to pull back and look at a larger picture because past can be a very, very big picture. What I've done is I've pulled back to look at two data and we'll talk about it. This is the first bit of data that you need to look at. This is growth of per capita income of Indians. And this is a long data that exists from 1960 to 2020. You can see that post couple of blips, one was 2008 and the other was 2017. The per capita income has risen quite consistently. 2008 was the Great Depression, where lots and lots of things went wrong for the world. 2017 was the year of demonetization, where lots and lots of things went wrong for us. If you leave those 2 years aside, we've seen a pretty okay growth of personal income. And these are US values, so exchange bit comes into the being and stuff like that. But this is a more interesting data to look at. This is our GDP on how it has gone or how it has not gone up. Now, if you look at it, there is this year, which is 2008, which saw a great contraction. Our GDP actually dipped very, very badly. And then there is the year 2017, where again we had a blip. Now, what I'll tell you is that the 2008 blip hasn't been erased as yet. We haven't come out of the issues that happened in 2008. The reason why I was telling you I wanted to look at data a little long term is this. It started in 2008, but 12 years back, a lot of us won't remember, but it was really a terrible year. It was a global contraction of services. The US subprime crisis, number of companies got shut down. US biggest housing companies went turtle. Number of banks went turtle. It was really, really a tough time at that point of year. And look at now the vehicle growth in India. Now see the chart from 2010 when you see a little bit of up happening till 2019. You will actually see that from 10 to 19 or 10 to 17, it has been a stagnant year. We haven't really seen the automobile market moving up. It's been almost the same year. And when I say automobile, I mean two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, and commercial vehicles. So as the whole industry put together, you will realize that we did not really grow as a country. I haven't put in, but if you see the world data, you will realize that the world automobile market was moving up. It wasn't stagnant. Now, what we need to realize is that in any country, automobile sometimes becomes literally the sign of how well the economy is doing, because it is one of the biggest things that people will buy. So housing and automobiles are two things that become very important when you look at overall growth of economy in a country. Now you see what is happening here is a very, very flattish, long period of time. So it's a 10-year flat period. And this is not just one category where stress is there. It's actually across the categories. So number of categories are going through the same thing. So what's the issue? Economic disruption has a deeper and a very long-term impact on consumer perceptions. And sometimes you don't even see it. Because you look at everything so closely, you do not realize that so many things have changed. We keep battling the issue of population in India. How many people of you realize that actually birth rates in India have fallen very, very badly? We aren't our birth rates in 1960s and our birth rate in 2012, the last or 2011 when the last census happened, has come down by half. Also, our life expectancy has gone up. So the families have become smaller, and that also is impacting how our entire per capita income is rising. Now, that's a long-term perception and a long-term impact that you can see of that as happening. Every economic disruption comes with stress on capital, and that leads to drop in consumerism because these two go hand in hand. There is no way that the capitalism will go and consumerism will not go. And the impact is on the whole world. As soon as capital starts to drop, production starts to drop, demand starts to drop, and the whole cycle of economics starts to go through a bit of a mess. I stated before that advertising theories have been written for lateral act for linear actions. It's about speaking one thing to many people at the same time and reach as many as you can every day. That's roughly the entire bit of marketing that exists in India or exists world over at this point of time. Can I take one thing to say to anybody? Beauty bar of film stars. Can I say it in different ways? So I find multiple people to say it. And can I keep saying it day after day? So I've been saying it for the last 100 years. It's a very strong brand. And that is how the entire marketing theory is. Is that what Apple did? Is that what Google did? Is that what a lot of new Chinese brands are doing? I suspect no. They are not doing that. They are doing something different. And that's where the whole change has started to happen. So I keep saying this. Guess what 90s called when they want the brand theories back? Because these theories that worked at that point of time have stopped working at this point of time. I also believe that most marketing theories that we read today have been written with packaged goods in mind. It was very good for the industrial age. Is it good for tech age? We don't know. And I'll run you through a couple of examples that will tell you that sometimes what happens in real life can never be written in a theory book. So the new marketing landscape is not linear at all. The broadcast model was under challenge for a long period of time. We've seen television grow and grow and grow. We've seen television reach almost every home. We've seen television to be almost the sole single media vehicle that came into people's homes and people did buy it. I suspect a lot of you don't watch TV at all. You don't go back to that device and watch what's called the linear TV. When is it that last time you switched on your TV channel and tuned into a channel? Instead, what you do now is switch on your TV and log in to the OTT service. Now that's a big change. You now don't wait for the episode to come. You actually now binge watch because everything is available in one go. What you're binge watching today, a lot of those are produced for linear TV. So it's not that anything has changed. It's just that the availability and the interaction with the medium has changed. Now, digital, OTT, outdoor, experiential, VR, AI, all have added more to the confusion that the audience faces today. Attention deficit was a problem. Attention deficit has become an even bigger problem, not because the attention has gone down, but because the information available has gone up tremendously. The amount of information that we now have with us and the amount of information that we are now exposed to and expected to consume has just added so much more to this entire media explosion that is happening around us and information explosion that is happening around us. We don't remember our own phone numbers at times, and we struggle to say, what is my phone number? Not that your mental capacity has gone down, it's just that the bombardment that you see of information to you is so high that it sometimes becomes difficult to remember your own phone number or address or car number. And I suspect some of you must be forgetting one of these at some point of time. And COVID pandemic may create new dynamics and may drive more changes. The question remains, will these changes be good for us or these changes be bad for us? At the heart of marketing and advertising is capital. And that's the critical bit that we need to remember. If there is no capitalism, there is no consumption, there is no driving of choices. If there is no capitalism, there is no reason for me to give you 20 brands of soaps to choose from, or 15 brands of cars to choose from, or 11 brands of airlines to choose from, or hundreds of brands of hotels to choose from. All of that is driven from the fact that I can drive capital for economic activity. And because I use capital to drive economic activity, I will give you choices and I will drive you to stores or drive you to online platforms or drive you to interaction with brands in a variety of ways. That's all is at the heart of marketing and advertising. Do you know there is an industry that was growing at 100% year on year and has come to a grinding halt? It's come to a pause. This, an industry that was growing at 100%. You guys are all on mute. I would not be able to see whether you've got the answer or not, but the answer is this. It was the Great Indian Fat Wedding. And this industry today is in shambles. So an industry that was growing and growing and growing, and maybe the singular wedding was the reason why it became so big last year. But even if you put that out, this industry was growing at a huge space. Can you imagine that this could have happened today? If somebody was in the business of wedding and you told them that the wedding can happen like this in 2020, they would have laughed you out of the room. But this is what has started to happen today. Delhi government says wedding can't have more than 50 people. So if you want to get only 50 people. And where is 50 people and where is 5,000 people? And so this is an industry that has completely changed, and all changed not by itself, but because something external has happened. Will this industry go back to the same type? We don't know. I suspect no. I suspect the big fat Indian weddings will become small, thin Indian weddings. And I agree 2020 is not 2008. Things have rapidly changed in the past 12 years. For one, our tech backbone is transformed. The data available today is in multiple gigabytes. So you actually now see far much more and is available to you far much more. And the governments have become intrusive as hell. They want to know far more than they know. So there are a lot of things that have changed from that point of time. This entire bit of this lecture couldn't have happened if the technology backbone didn't exist. It exists. Multiple people can connect from multiple points, and people can see each other and interact with each other and talk to each other. That is one very, very large change that has happened. The other change that has happened is that we all carry a device with us, a device that lets a lot of people snoop into what you are doing. And we as individuals are giving permissions to a lot of brands and a lot of companies and a lot of governments to snoop on us. Willingly, knowingly, we share our location. Today, thanks to WhatsApp and Facebook messengers and stuff like that, people know, are you traveling or you're not traveling? Today, you're not traveling because of whatever reason. But your personal life, you have decided to put on display, but there is also a lot more known to you. If anyone of you gets the Google alerts on the Google Map usage, it's freaky because it does tell you from time to time, and timestamp to timestamp, and print to print, and point to point as to where you went and where you came from. That data is actually the whole bit that is transforming the way marketing is done today. But two, the income disruption at this point of time is far sharper than it was in 2008. We are looking at close to 60 days of a lockdown. That is about 16% of productivity that is gone. Now you're looking at a forced contraction of economy by 16%. That's a very, very, very large number. Don't get me wrong, but a 16% contraction shuts companies down. If a company is told that you have to cut costs by 16% tomorrow morning, they won't know how to operate and they won't know where to go. It's actually a very large disruption. Now I'm taking 16%, maybe it's lower. Maybe it's not as intense and severe as it was at this point of time. But you will realize all around you, most companies are in stress. They're cutting costs, they're cutting salaries, they're cutting expenses, they're cutting offices, and a lot of that is happening. So the income disruption at this point of time is actually far more egalitarian than it was in 2008, because at that point of time, some lost money, some didn't lose money. Here is two pieces of data that you need to look at. This is RBI. So this is Government of India data. The chart on the left hand says Consumer Confidence Index and how much of consumer confidence India has at this point of time. And RBI says it's the lowest ever since they started to measure it in 2010. Lowest ever consumer confidence in March 2020. And even the future projections look really, really grim and dull. And the other is the summary based on a variety of things. And you can see that from Jan to March, we've seen a bit of recovery or a bit of feeling of recovery in employment, a bit of feeling of recovery in price, but a huge issue on spending. So if you look at Sarkar's own data, it will tell you that we are living in very uncertain times. This is not the time when most things will happen happily. This is not the time when most people would want to do things or stuff like that. So might be we are seeing the rise of anti-consumerism. And so all these years since the time India liberalized and since the late 1990s, when this entire bit of India opening up and choices being given to us and we becoming more and more consumer driven, has started to change. And what we are now seeing is rise of what I call anti-consumerism. We are looking at the rise of what's called need simplifiers. There are a lot of things that we don't need. At least on my Twitter feed, I see a lot of people saying they don't need so many. Why do I have so many pair of shirts? Or why do I have so many jeans? And do I really need them? I mean, if you look at it, there used to be a president, first lady of Philippines, who had 3,000 pairs of shoes whom she had never used. Does the world need so many? And this is what has started to happen. This is data that tells you that most people will look at deferring a high ticket item purchase because a white good, apparel, luxury, home decoration, people are pushing all this out. Automobiles, vacations, they're pushing all this out because they feel that they can reduce the need and they were a lot more frugal. And there is this whole need bit that people have started to push down. What's trending is a mop. Now, could you imagine 50 days back, what's called a spin mop would be the most searched item on Google, but that it is. And so dishwasher and mop are two products that people are searching, and mops are out of stock. So this spin mop, because those domestic helps and the issue with domestic help is there, most of these people have given up on on mops and have started to buy spin mop. Then there are climate warriors who can be called as degrowth activists. Now, you have seen these pictures being shared with you all across social media feed. Everyone is putting this out saying pollution has disappeared, skies have become cleaner, this has become green, that has become green. And so we were doing so much to the earth and we were abusing the earth and we were changing the earth, and not all of that is a good thing and maybe we should start to change. I really don't know if the skies will remain blue. Now, it's a bad thing to say. I know all of us would want clean air and clean water and stuff like that to be available to us, but you also want money in your pocket. And there is a balance that needs to be arrived at. But there is this whole bunch of people whom I've called as degrowth activists who would actually not want the world to go back to where it was and look at contracting economies, look at contracting consumption, look at contracting lots of other things so that we continue with this little more balance between nature and human. All very good, but you're seeing this as the second trend of anti-consumerism that we are seeing. The third anti-consumer groups that I see are called same food activists. Would you believe that there is a brand called Holy Crap of breakfast cereals in some parts of the world? And basically they say that we are no nonsense, easy on pocket, easy on tummy, breakfast cereals. But it's called Holy Crap. There is also this another brand which has started to come up in a lot of parts of the world called Earth Balance, which is how they are vegan and they really don't use so much of expensive ways of manufacturing and waste and stuff like that. So this whole bit of vegan has started to come very, very big into consumer psyche and consumer confidence and consumer mindset and stuff like that. And all of it is driven from this thing of saying we need to be a lot more friendlier to earth, and people will give you all kind of statistics about how much of methane a cow produces, and so why should we not be eating cows? And so the meat industry is really the reason why people are going the way they are going. Interestingly, PETA announced Virat Kohli as the PETA person of the year in 2019. So that much of mainstreaming of what can be called as sane food consumerism has started to come in. And the fourth and the biggest important of them at all this time are the conservation activists. These are people who actually believe that the earth cannot support the way humans are using the earth at this point of time. And so there are a lot more brands that are coming in that are into this whole thing of guilt free. So Mama Earth in India actually says cruelty free. Now, whatever cruelty free means, but they've built the entire business, smallish brand, not very successful, but they built it using this entire bit of cruelty free. We all know how much PETA pushes the no fur bit and how much you should not be using fur and stuff like that. But that is also happening. And then there are internationally, this is a brand called Secure, which is owned by Unilever. And back to the same thing of saying cruelty free and very friendly with environment and driven by nature and stuff like that. So this is the new trend. I mean, India saw the rise of one big brand called Patanjali, which came up from this very sentiment of being cruelty free, good for nature, more using more nature friendly product and not really being cosmetic or artificial and not using artificial colors. And it had a great success run. So will anti-consumerism change marketing? And that's actually a very, very big question that we need to debate, because if the consumerism wave starts to go down, what will marketing start to do? Now, marketing is an economic system that is designed for continuous and unending growth. If there is no continuous or unending growth, you really don't need marketing, because what it will mean, as soon as growth starts to taper, the choices start to go down. The more the choices, more the growth happens. So growth and choices go hand in hand. It also makes the assumption that people have an unlimited appetite for more and more goods. Now, if I'm saying that I'm pushing on all my big purchases and I'm not looking at it now, and I will look at it at some other point of time, then clearly I'm looking at an assumption that I don't need more and more goods. And so this is a big change that can get driven from this perspective. At this point of time, I don't know how much of this is mainstreaming of this will happen, because life will go back to normal, maybe not quickly, maybe limp back to normalcy and things will start to change. But if it doesn't start to change, then there is a big issue that will need to be solved. We also know that this assumption is no longer unhindered as it was just a month earlier. And this disruption will have a direct short term impact. You're seeing that if 16% of our consumption basket starts to go down, maybe not 16%, maybe say 10%. If that basket starts to go down, then the overall cascading impact on economy is very, very large. So what you are seeing happen is that consumption is going down. So if you look at this entire economic system of growth, but you have a real system where growth can't happen. The real system is growth is contracting. Choices are going down and people are not wanting to make choices. Also, if I can't bring them to a place where I can showcase what I have to sell, then what is it that in terms of choice I can drive? What it means that the way marketing will start be questioned. Not only will it be, it wasn't questioned before, but this questioning will gain great amount of momentum. Marketing was being questioned, or at least the way marketing theories were being put to use by brands were being questioned. But this will get a far greater momentum at this point of time. And far many more number will start to look at this and say, no, we need to change the way this whole thing is working. The linear marketing model was already under pressure. And this paradigm will not only change marketing, but will also change digital marketing completely. Now, for a long period of time, digital marketing has been sold as this new ultimate bit where there is no money wasted and everything is targeted and everything is measurable and everything that happens for a good reason. And so you can change the way marketing happens and you don't need to spend lots of money. All of that, unfortunately, may or may not be 100% true. There are shades of truth in that, but there are not complete shades of truth in that. Till now, and that is a more important part, digital has been the support medium to mainline, which is print and TV and outdoor, because of the lower reach of net. And is it there that we have the numbers that have started to happen in a very, very different way? If you look at it, internet is a big transformational force. And these are the numbers today. There are 504 million active internet users in India as of November 2019, the data that IRS has released right now. There are 830 million people who watch TV. Are you looking at, if you look at the number, you will realize that 1 in 2 TV viewer also has access to net. From a reach perspective, this number is reaching a very high number. Then there are 227 active internet users in rural India. And there are roughly 500 million rural viewership of TV. Internet is keeping pace. Now, two arguments that always went against internet was reach and penetration, and both have started to go down rapidly. And there is a player called Geo in market that will change this game in the next 6 months even more dramatically. I'm sure if you look at these numbers would be hitting 600 million at this point of time. This is November 19 data, but if I look at 5 more months or 6 more months, it should be easily hitting 600 million. We are reaching where TV is. We are reaching what TV reaches. And if you can start to match the reach of TV, from a sheer reach perspective, today internet has a higher reach than newspapers. You realize why WhatsApp has started to become the kind of problem that it is because of the reach of reach of internet and reach of cheap data in hands of people. Now, I expect the data will not remain as cheap as it is. I expect as number of players in this market reduce, the cost of data will start to go up. It is going up, it will go up even more. But I don't think that will change the way people are using their mobile phone and accessing the internet from mobile phone. So till now, digital was not the medium to look for reach. But I don't know if you guys saw I for India concert from Facebook. I'm sure a lot of you watched it. This is what it did. And they had put a live number on the screen, and you knew that you were watching between 7 to 8 million people were logging in and watching. 7 or 8 million people watching an event is actually very, very large. And in India, Facebook actually bid for IPL viewership for this reason, because they knew they could use Facebook as a platform to stream and bring people onto a platform and make them watch a big event at any given point of time wherever they are. So it broke shackles from the boundaries that TVs put you, because TVs can't be mobile, but technology is mobile. They put this whole page, they put this whole event, they got lots of people to come together from all across the globe, and they did this big thing. And so there are numbers that they're putting out. There are 18,000 people who put in money. Or there are 797,000 people. So 8 lakh people who got invited. There are 8 lakh people who watched this event. That's a really large number that could have happened on a digital platform. And we know that platforms like TikTok are driving the internet usage and adoption deeper down. We keep laughing at TikTok, but almost all your big cinema stars today are on TikTok. Almost all of them are connecting with their users and fans, and they're expanding that fan base just using TikTok. I want to leave you with 2 examples on how internet and social media is changing the game for brands. One is pre-COVID and the other is right now. And you will realize that none of this comes from the way marketing theories are written, or none of this would have come if everything went by the book. The first example is what we did from the agency, and this is our work. The second example I'm running you through is from US. This is the heartbreak story that comes from India. Rahul Khanna put out a tweet on 25th February 2017 and says breaking up sucks, especially when you've been together for 2 decades. 263 people like it, 109 people are talking about it. It's a big impression, and there is a bit of traction to this tweet. Do you know what this tweet is about? He puts another tweet, and a little later, about 2 hours later, he puts another tweet. And he says, I gave you my heart, but you let me down. And that's why we are breaking up. What's he breaking up with? He's breaking up with British Airways, because he used to fly British Airways and they messed up his baggage. So he puts a tweet out saying, I'm breaking up with British Airways. In the next morning, you have British Airways, the Virgin Atlantic reaching out to him with a letter, a cake, a bottle of champagne, and a platinum flying card, and says, you've broken up, here is a new relationship that you can start. And he tweets saying, well played, Virgin Atlantic. Thank you for flowers and chocolate and making me laugh. The smudge on the letter is from my tears. And Virgin responds back to it saying, glad you brought a smile to your face after such a painful breakup. Let's make it official and jet away somewhere soon. All this is a 3-day game that happened. In 3 days' time, British Airways lost a big name and a big frequent flyer only because the competition was very nimble, fast, and was willing to go out of the way to make things happen. Now, in any other way, people would have waited for approvals to happen and calls would have made to the global system. And lots of people would have said, can I do this? Can I not do this? But here was a brand willing to move very quickly. And because we did this, I know that Virgin had reached out to him and spoken with him even before British Airways responded to the tweet on Twitter. And British Airways was so upset that till today, they haven't responded to Rahul Khanna on Twitter. That's what happened here. Now, what happens when you have a TV spot that is created for one person? Can you imagine running a TV spot aimed at just one person? I'll run you a TV spot that was aired once on Fox News in US and was never aired again. Here is the commercial.
There's mourning in America. Today, more than 60,000 Americans have died from a deadly virus Donald Trump ignored. With the economy in shambles, more than 26 million Americans are out of work, the worst economy in decades. Trump bailed out Wall Street, but not Main Street. This afternoon, millions of Americans will apply for unemployment. And with their savings run out, many are giving up hope. Millions worry that a loved one won't survive COVID-19. There's mourning in America, and under the leadership of Donald Trump, our country is weaker and sicker and poorer. And now, Americans are asking, if we have another 4 years like this, will there even be an America?
November Lincoln Project, which is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Okay, so this TV commercial might not have cost them more than $5,000 to make because this is all stock footage. They didn't shoot anything. They just recorded a voiceover, put it over that, and ran it on Fox News because Trump has made it very clear that the only channel he watches is Fox News. What do you think would have happened after this went up? So this is what happened after the commercial went up. Donald Trump went ballistic. So he put out the tweet that says a group of Reno Republicans who failed badly 12 years ago and then again 8 years ago and then got badly beaten by me, a political first-timer, 4 years ago, have copied no imagination of the concept from an ad from Ronald Reagan, Morning in America, doing everything possible. Now, they never said that they've copied the commercial from Morning in America, which was a Ronald Reagan starting commercial that had happened, which is true. And he went ballistic and kept tweeting because they don't know how to do this and to be this and this and this. So 3 tweets he put out. And if you look at it, there is 93,000 likes on first tweet and 63,000 on the second tweet. So together, it actually reached far many more people and had a far greater impact than just one TV commercial bit would have had. One airing, but they got Donald Trump's vote and he responded. And what happened is this. Because of Trump's tweet, the commercial today has 17 million views on YouTube and it has raised 2 million in donations from 25,000 new donors. Now, this is what I call one TVC, one-time airing and a clear influencer strategy. So you put out a very cool, calculated assault on one person's mindset and created this whole impact that completely lit him up and made this whole thing work. Now, imagine doing this. So imagine starting a marketing project by saying, I will create one commercial that I'll air only once and then see what happens from there. And that's what is the entire bit of new marketing that has started to happen. So does capitalism need to reinvent itself in times of pandemic? I don't think the answer would be black and white, but I think a lot of way we do business, a lot of way companies do business, a lot of way we interact with companies, a lot of way we buy their products will change. I'm not sure how many of us will go back to Zara and buy a shirt that we think we'll use it only 5 times and throw it away. Or I don't know when we will think of taking a new vacation and go somewhere else. And I don't know when we will look at going back and living the way we were living in. Now, I don't know new normal old normal and stuff like that. But I do think there are changes that will happen around us, and those changes will actually force academicians to look at this entire marketing theory bit differently and start to write newer marketing theories which are not driven from the old world, which are not driven from what was done in 1960s. The 1960s is pretty old. We are now living in a very, very different time. Thank you for your patience. I finished a little earlier than I had expected. I'm happy to answer questions. Let me know. I can exit the PowerPoint. And
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. We have certain questions from our participants. I will read out those questions for you.
yeah,
Give me a moment. So the first question that comes to our way is, sir, are marketing jobs after post-COVID-19, will the marketing jobs increase or will they remain the same or will they decline? What is going to happen to the marketing jobs?
I wish I can say that jobs will increase. I don't see that happening. I think jobs overall will decline. I think the impact, at least in next 6 months, is going to be very, very bad. But I think over a period of time, it will get normalized. But I don't see an explosion of jobs happening at this point of time.
Right. So the next question that comes to our way is, we have cases of advertisements created and published, aired only once. So we in the agencies did it when we were sending. So this is basically a comment. I will ask you a question.
Yeah.
Give me a moment. So the next question that comes our way is, are the Philip Kotler's principles relevant today or not?
I've been saying it for some time and I'll say it again. No, they're not.
Okay.
Why? And I'll tell you why. If you look at all the bigger brands today and the brands that you desire and the brands that you really want to own, and then look at from a pure academic perspective, are they doing what Kotler recommends you to do? You will realize that they are not. And so they have gone and built themselves up in a very, very big way by not doing the classical marketing theory bit. Now, no brand appeals to everybody. So there is obviously a segmentation that is needed. There is a mindset that a brand appeals to. But does a brand live by one feature, one proposition, one personality, and continues to build on that? I think it works for packaged goods. I don't think it works for a lot of other brands. I think what works for Lux doesn't work for Apple. And so to apply everything to with the same rigor and same principle to all categories and all brands might be a little bit of a challenge.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. The next question is, what changes do you see in the advertising or client agency relationship post COVID-19?
I can talk hours on that. But I think agencies will be under far greater pressure for the next 6-8 months because they would be expected to deliver a far greater impact with lesser monies. Agencies don't have magic wand in their hand, but that is what most clients will expect. What will happen is that the agencies will have to start getting sharper. And what will happen is that the agencies will start to deliver much sharper level of thinking and much sharper level of execution. Also, agencies will have to rethink the way they execute. Today, like marketing theories, there is also a template agencies for. If there is a brief that comes in from the client, the first reaction is let's make a film. I think that first reaction needs to change. And I keep saying this, what if we can't make a film? Can I sell a product or not sell a product? And so that's the first bit that will start to change and change dramatically. The second thing that will change is the way you look at media. And if Facebook starts to become the kind of platform it intends to become, and this I for India is any indicator, you actually have a new monster in town. So lots of changes will happen.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. The next question that we have is, sir, do you think that conspicuous consumption is out on its way out? If yes, what will be the new domain for businesses to make volume profits?
I believe the economy any which way has shrunk by about 10% this year. I don't see companies making profit this year. This year is going to be a terrible year. In times like these, consumers spend more on healthcare and consumers spend more on insurance. They really spend lesser on a shinier car or a larger house or that big blingy diamond that you were looking at, or the big holiday that you were taking abroad, or that big wedding that you were planning. So, to a large extent, the conspicuous consumption will start to go down. I don't think with you locked in at home and not allowed to call people to your home, there is any reason for conspicuous consumption. I mean, we're already seeing companies putting out lockdown workwear, which basically has made it a lot more comfortable. You don't wear trousers. Shoes as a category is dead. I don't need them. I can't step out of home. So a lot of conspicuous consumption will start to go down. Somebody's asking the question, what happens to consumers if telecom industry goes to Jio and Airtel? You pay more money. Your bills will go up.
Your voice is breaking, sir. Not sorry.
I'm saying if only two players remain in the market for telecom, your bills go up, you pay more money.
That's correct. I agree with you, sir. So the next question that comes up is: can we expect to see a more humanitarian face of capitalism in the time to come?
It's a big debate, but I sincerely do not believe that capitalism is about exploiting humans. I don't think that's true. Capitalism also is a system in which personal progress happens. People become richer, people become happier. Now, yes, the benefits of capitalism have not been egalitarian and they've not been distributed equally. And some people have benefited more. And people keep saying that CEOs of a company get 300 times more money than the junior most person. Some of that can be corrected, but I don't think capitalism will become philanthropy. That's not going to happen. Anything else?
Yes, sir, your voice was actually cracking. So the next question that comes is, what kind of advertising do you think climate change crisis needs to instill awareness in the masses?
A lot more participative. People have to be made a lot more aware of what we are going through, and very actionable bit needs to be put out by campaigns. The problem of campaigns like Earth Hour are that they are driven more by a stunt and more by a newsworthiness than really any real action. So if climate change has to become an issue, then it has to be far more participative. And each one of us has to believe that we can drive the change. And these are things that we can do. Will you give up on travel? Will you reduce your carbon footprint? Will you stop consuming lesser products? Will you buy less? Will you waste less? And will there be an incentive given to you by the powers for being a conscientious consumer? I think the time has come to look at that, and governments will look at that going forward. But I really don't think this is something that can only be done by a marketing campaign. This is a far greater policy level issues that governments need to pick.
Right. Thank you so much for the answer, sir. So we have another question. It says, what do you think where political marketing is going in India? What is the future of political marketing in India? The way big political brands are being created. What do you think political marketing will look like in future?
I don't think you guys realize, but the largest client in India is Government of India. There is no client in India that comes close to Government of India. And if you pick Government of India and all the state governments as one block, then a whole industry can live by just one client. It's actually a very, very, very big client. And so we've got used to political advertising. In fact, in political advertising, my whole bit is that we are the product, and that's how we are being used. It's not really how a good product or a bad product conversation is. It's the whole game has been changed now to make you feel good or bad about your own choice. And so this whole bit of political advertising is driven from lots of things which most companies will not want. So if you're a company driven by a code of ethics, or if you're a company driven by certain values, and it's a hard thing to say that as a corporation you're driven by ethics and values, you will not do what a political party does. And I'm saying irrespective of the political party. A lot of stuff that is happening will not happen. So there's a whole new game that the political parties play, and this will continue to get played in even bigger way. Till we start to ignore what they tell us, that can change.
Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. We have a question, a very interesting question. It says that how will those services or products online alternative is not possible will survive, or even survivability of with guidelines become possible? How will those services or companies become profitable where online alternative is not possible?
Oh, I thought online is losing money on everything. There isn't a single online thing that is making money. From Paytm to Amazon to Flipkart, they all lose money. The guys who make money are the brick and mortar guys. Your neighborhood fashion store makes money. Big Basket doesn't make money. No, I don't think is the right way to look at it. I think internet will take a very, very long time to make money. It's a money lose game at this point of time. And all they're doing is building platforms and aggregating consumer data. The game will change once Reliance Geo unveils what it is wanting to do. And that may change a lot of things. But look at the world differently. There's not a single online player that's making money.
Right, sir. Thank you for your answer. So we have one last question which is coming up to close the session. Uh, will big brands be relevant post COVID 19? How will the big brands reinvent themselves? Or will it give an opportunity to the smaller brands to come up and compete with the big brands in the market?
I wish I had the answer to this. But what I suspect will happen is that the big brands will become bigger. You will go back to your trusted brand. You will go back and use what you are comfortable using, and not really experiment and go to a newer brand and use a brand that you haven't heard of. Actually, every contraction in economy is bad news to the newer brands that come in. I mean, I run a very small agency, but a lot of guys will go back to the bigger established agencies because they are proven, and they will leave out the new age, newer agencies because they are new. So this is the time when the established bigger names have an advantage.
Thank you, sir. So we have come to the end of the session. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. Naresh Gupta, for your wisdom with us. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir. The next session begins at 3:30 p.m., which is on cyber threats during COVID times by advocate Neeraj Aarora. My colleague Bharti will now take over and introduce him to us. We can have a break till 3:30 when the session starts. I request all the
Yes.
participants not to log out and stay with us. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll wait for another opportunity for Naresh to come and interact with us. Thank you, Naresh.
Thank you. Thank you, Nina.
Bye.
We are still waiting for Mr. Neeraj to join us. Till that time, I think the moment Mr. Neeraj joins, we can start. So there's a request to all the participants to not to log out. Please remain logged in.
A very good afternoon, sir.
I made Mr. Neeraj as a presenter, so he can share whatever he wants right now. Okay.
Okay,
You
sir.
can introduce him.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir. You are audible. Yes, you're audible as well as the video is fine.
Okay. So,
Okay, so
at what time you want me to start?
sir, I'll just introduce you once to all the participants before we begin with the session.
Right.
A very good afternoon to all. I'm Bharti, a faculty at University School of Management Studies, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. Joining us today for the session is Mr. Neeraj Aarora, Record, Supreme Court of India. Mr. Aarora is a law graduate from Delhi University and a fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and a certified fraud examiner from ACFE USA. Mr. Aarora is a managing partner of the techno-legal firm Hazen Legal Associates that specializes in criminal law, cyber law, digital evidence, and privacy issues. He specializes in techno-legal issues encompassing computer forensics, audio-video evidences, blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, privacy, data protection, etc. Sir is a visiting faculty at the Indian Law Institute, National Law University, National Police Academy, to name a few reputed. He's an arbitrator and a member of appellate tribunals and national and international levels. He's also the president of Cyber Research and Innovation Society. Sir, it's a privilege for us to have you with us today for the session, and sir will be sharing his views on cyber threats during COVID times. Thank you so much, and sir, you can start with your presentation. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to all of you. So today we are going to discuss about the cyber threats which are prevailing as of now. To start with, now I'm just sharing my presentation on this subject. First, we are coming to why, as of now, the cyber crime has increased exponentially. So what is the reason for it? So these are the few reasons. Number one reason is that we are in a lockdown situation. No physical activity is allowed. So the only option for us to get any more usage of the internet, we are doing all the transaction only through the internet. So how now all the users, whether they were earlier using it or not, so connection who do not know how to actually securely surf the internet to do the transaction. So this has created a lot of opportunity for the cyber criminal, because now they have the so many persons on whom they can do the phishing attack, they can get what they want. And this challenge is again multiplied from the another reason that now, because of the coronavirus and the consequential threat, the social distancing have been implemented, and all the criminals have been released from the jail. So even one act have been passed, notification have been passed in which the jail superintendent has been given the power to release the accused person. So all the accused persons against whom the allegations were there for the offences where the punishment is less than 7 years, they have been released from the jail. So now the biggest challenge is that if any crime is committed, what will you do? You will go to the police. Police is already involved into the lockdown, and the duties which are connected with the lockdown, police do not have the time for the investigation, because as of now already they are involved into the law and order duties and they do not have any time for the investigation. Further, this is multiplied because our courts are not functioning. At present, all the courts, even our high courts, they are only taking the matter which are urgent through the video conference. So here the challenge is, if you have become a victim of cyber crime, you file a complaint with the police do not act on it. Then the problem comes that even you cannot go to the court to get any relief, to get the FIR registered. And further, in cases of the online crimes, until the police collect the data from the service provider, no action can be. So that means even if you go to the court, you file an application for urgent hearing, even court allow it, still you are not going to get any. So that has increased the complexity. So what the current scenario is that the cyber criminals are using, they are exploiting every possible opportunity, and they even do not carry, they are not caring for the legal recourse against them. So the best example we have the scheme which has been launched by the Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and the Relief Fund, which was by the name of PM Care Fund. And the interesting part is when this has been announced, within few hours, there were a number of websites. Within few hours, there were a number of accounts on the Paytm, number of accounts on the other payment platform, and people start getting the messages for making the payment to this fund. And at the initial stage, number of people even have made the payment to the fake account. So see the speed with which they are moving. Now, in this session, we are going to discuss about the few of the threats. One of the biggest threats as of now is fake news. So I'm going to discuss it in detail because very few remedies are available against this particular threat. Then we have a cyber espionage, and then somewhere issue of the child pornography that recently we have seen the bias locker room case. Then the issue of the internet usage and attack vector, and some of the other crime relating to the banking frauds. So first, I'm coming to the fake news because as of now, that is one of the biggest crime on the internet. So when we talk about the fake news, we can divide it into four. So first is the fake news. Fake news means the news regarding an event. So event occurred, but the news which is circulated regarding the event is false. Then we have the rumor. Here, rumor is something which you give as an explanation relating to something. So it is not, it may relate to the actual event, it may not relate to the actual. Now, third, when we collect all this together is infotainment. So we know, and as of now, every news channel is speaking about it, that rather than coronavirus, we have another bigger challenge of the infotainment. So now we will come to it in detail, how to deal with this problem. So, to understand why these fake news, why these rumors are successful, we need to understand the concept of the lie. So if we go by the history, how the narrative evolves. So in the beginning, the narrative has evolved by way of beating of drums. So announcements used to be made by beating of drums, but then there was a limitation. When it was done by beating of drum, it has limited scope. You can do it among 200 people, 500 people, not more. So even if you spread a fake news, it would have a limited potential because it will only circulate it within a particular group, not more than. Then we move to the loudspeaker. Again, it was the same scenario. Then we move to the newspaper. And the important part is when we move to the newspaper, the issue of spread of rumor and fake news was duly considered by the society. So that's why the newspaper circulation was controlled. So you have to take a lesson for it. So then you can find out the person who is circulating. An action can be taken immediately, and the author of the news can always be located. Then we move to the radio, and again with the radio, it was under the control of the state, and even if it has moved to the private radio channel, still the lessons were being crafted, which has all the terms and conditions, where you can find a person who has circulated the fake news, you can make them liable. And important than this is that when if we go for the remedy against the defamation or fake news, you have the remedy that the same news channel or same radio channel will give the apology on the same platform. So that means where the fake news have been circulated at the same place, it can be rectified. Truth can be informed to the people, it can be broadcast. Similar situation goes with the TV channels. But when TV channel, now understanding the another concept, what the fake news are. So if we look from the time immemorial, so I refer to the time of the Chanakyas, the fake news were being used as a tool of war. It has an unlimited potential. It can do something which even a contingent of an army cannot. So even at the time of the Chanakya, the fake news was being used to spread the rumor about the enemy. So there were, we can find number of instances where the fake news was being used as to spread the, create the confusion. So now if we come to the today's scenario, Russia is known as one of the misinformation countries. So these are some of the misinformation which have been spread by the Russia recently during the coronavirus, that the virus has come from US troops. Bill Gates played a role in creating the virus. EU has created agencies to debunk fake news better by the Russia. US soldier deployed in Lithuania was infected and hospitalized. So there are so many information which have been spread by the Russia. And why the Russia is known as a misinformation country? Because they were using the misinformation at every occasion. So previously they have used the misinformation campaign in 2016 US election, in 2009 European Parliament election, in 2016 British. So in all these events they have used the misinformation. Another the big country and one of the leading countries using the misinformation, disinformation, humor and fake news is the China. Basically, it is into the basic philosophy of the China. So there is a very famous book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, where one of the basic tool of the war is to spread the rumor, to spread the fake news, to subdue the enemy. So now it is being done on the internet. And how it is doing it on the internet is comparatively easy. The reason is on the internet everybody is the author. And there is no filtering, there is no vetting. So some of the steps through which it can be manipulated on the internet is manipulation of the search net, which can very be easily done. Directly sharing the disinformation, hacking and releasing the information, selective censorship. So even there are a number of other ways whereby you can share among group, you can forward them, make comments about them, you can multiply the impact and can create a cascading effect of the data. So why on the internet these fake news has a more impact as compared to any other media? So there are three specific characteristics of the internet. Number one is the instantaneous communication. So whatever you share on the internet, within a fraction of a second, we can spread it throughout the world. Secondly, we can spread it by giving the audio and visual. So it can be by way of the audio 5 clips, by way of the video clips, and you know the impression which our mind collect from the audio, from the video is much higher as compared to the words, as compared to the written things. Third is, on the internet, it gives you the facility of forwarding, sharing on various platforms. So all these things combined together allows the particular news to have a cascading impact over the large population. So now coming to the how this campaign on the internet, how these narratives on the internet are being used. So first, all the groups, so we have seen even number of terrorist attacks and the previous incident that various groups are making their own propaganda on the internet. Right? And on the internet, every person is an author and he can write anything which is not subject to any censorship, which is not subject to any editing or any restriction by the service provider. You can write anything. Social media is a very huge audience. On the social media, in a one go, you can make an impact over the crowd of people. That we have seen in the case of the Cambridge Analytica that we discussed. So here, every group is putting the news, keeping their own interest. So interest may be the interest of creating the heterogeneous among the people for their monetary benefit. So that objective may vary from group to group. And when there is so much information on a particular subject like the coronavirus, we have the information coming from thousands of sources. So what actually happens? Truth is lost, and what remains only the confusion. So impact of the fake news rumor on the internet is like a fire in the air. So now I'm coming to the Cambridge Analytica case, which is one of the beautiful examples what we can do on the internet by using the narrative. So this is a very famous case. Here, the data of crores of Facebook users was stolen, and it was admitted by the Facebook that it had been stolen. After the data was being stolen, the same data was used into the election in India as well as election in the US. So they were able to influence the voters. So they were basically able to influence the election result. So this particular power has given the Facebook a size which is even bigger than the size of a country. So now, after taking our data, the personal data, they have become so powerful to rule on us. So that is the power of your data, and that is the when it is combined with the humor, fake news, or even narrative, it can create anything. It can do anything. It can even change the fate of a country. So, another two cases which I want to discuss with you is when the false propaganda was used on the internet is one of the very current case. Here, within a single day, they have created a fake news, fake video, shared them, forwarded them, put them compared, create a cascading effect, and within one day we have seen the words throughout the country. Then we have the recent riot in Delhi, where what this group done, which are the anti-national groups, they share the propaganda through the WhatsApp, through the Facebook, through the Twitter, and also manually. And combined effect of it was that they provided the logistics support, and ultimate impact was that they were void throughout the day. So now coming to the how to fight the fake news. So that is the biggest thing which I want to convey, because now we are seeing the maximum fake news on the internet. Fake news get faded as quickly as they spread. Because if it is a fake, if somebody comes and gives the authentic information, if somebody comes and explains that it is a fake thing and this is the genuine thing, or if there is a clarification is coming from a channel which is authentic, if the clarification is being conveyed in a proper way, the humor and the fake news will immediately get faded. So there are three mechanisms by which fake news can be taken. Number one is the social initiative, which is being now taken. We will come. Second is the government initiative. Government discipline. Government created a platform for the citizen to come there to verify their news. Third is the legal remedies. So we have the legal remedies that the person who are providing the fake news can be prosecuted, and the other legal remedy is that whatever is the fake news that can be broke by the order of the court. But here the one of the thing is, when we go by the legal remedies, the biggest challenge is that the damage is already caused. So, but it is only post-mortem exercise. Because the moment the fake news is spread, its effect would be there on the citizen. And even then, if you are able to prosecute the offender who has put the fake news, its impact would be there. So, even as compared to the legal remedies, social initiative and the government initiatives are more useful. For example, one of the recent fake news which we have seen in the Maharashtra, where one of the reporter has circulated a message that the trains are available for the migrant on the Bandra station. We have seen the consequences of that. Thousands of the migrants has gathered on the railway station, and ultimately they violated the social distancing norm. They did a damage which cannot be done. So merely a single message has done which otherwise could not have been done by any other mechanism. Second is, in the Mizoram, there was a similar fake message was there that the person who are living outside the state should come to the state immediately, and all the migrants are here. In the last 3 months, 2 months, more than 10,000 FIR have been registered for circulating the fake news. But whether it is a solution, it is not a solution. Because the damage which is done cannot be undone. So we have to move to the social and the other initiatives. So what are the other initiatives? The best way is that we should have a platform from where the fake news can be verified. And in fact, these all platforms, these all initiatives have already been launched by the government. So now if you go to any police website, there is a web link where you can put the news and you can get it platform. All the media channel, you can also see the news channel. They are also giving you the remedy that if there is anything you want to know, they have a helpline, you can always call, you can verify. And even they are providing the contact detail of the doctors, contact detail of the other media houses, contact detail of the organization, from where you can authenticate any information. What is the website? So number of websites have been launched by the government. On the website, the initiative has been taken by the WHO and all the big organizations regarding the fake news, and they have put into place the mechanism by which you can verify the fake news. So with the fake news, one thing here I want to clarify, because that is the question which I am receiving from the author. As far as the fake news is concerned, the person who is the author is liable, but at the same time, the person who is forwarding the fake news or who is putting any comment authenticating the fake news is equally liable as an author. So we have a number of judgment to that. Third is, if a website, if it is being circulated through a website, maybe internet service provider like Facebook, like Google or any other ISP, they are supposed to remove the fake news immediately. Once they come, if they do not remove, they are also an accused as far as the prosecution. Now coming to the other frauds which have emerged during the last 2 months. So before coming to the frauds, I would refer to see the number of fake domains which have been registered for committing the fraud. Within the last 2 months, more than 4,000 fraud portals has been created. The domain name has been obtained, all the websites have been created, mechanism has been set up for collecting the information and for committing the fraud. And in a multiple way that it is being committed. So let us come to these fraud one by one. First is the phishing. Because if on the internet want to commit any crime against anyone, the first thing and the basic thing which you require is the personal information. Until I do not have your personal information, I cannot commit any crime. So for collecting the personal information, first the basic offense is of phishing. So that's why you will see that the phishing movement continue at every moment of time. But during this last 2 months, it has increased exponentially. And not only in one, in every way. The moment you have certain query regarding the coronavirus, on the same issue you start getting them. Now, because this is the right time for the criminal to commit the offense, because legal machinery is ineffective, courts are not working, so they want to make the maximum usage of it. So they are sending the malware, they are sending the spyware, they are sending the trojan. Because getting the information to the malware, spyware, and trojan is quite more comfortable, because they are not only get the personal information, you also get the bank account detail, you also get the password, you get the so much data that it becomes possible for committing cyber crime. So in the last 2 months, there is a increase in the malicious phishing email by 667%. That is the jump. Regarding the malware, now they are using the every possible option. If you are going to search about the coronavirus map, they have introduced the malware. So as of now, if you are downloading something which is not from an authentic source, if you are downloading something which is for free, then you are going to get a bait with it. You are going to get a with it. And the ransomware, the attack which we have seen in the last 3 years, have increased exponentially. And who are the targets? Target are who are operating. And who is operating? The hospitals. So in Europe, there are n number of ransomware attacks, and these criminals have made a huge money. And ransomware can come to your computer in multiple ways. Now the technology has evolved to such an extent that even hacker claims that if they want, they can send the ransomware into your mobile, your computer by drive-by. So if you have not secured your computer properly, if you are not using antivirus or anti-malware, then the hacker are in a position to send the ransomware. So there multiple ways can be sent. So there are 2 cases to which I want to refer. So first case is of the Park Medical Center in Colorado. They sent the ransomware. And what the ransomware did? This ransomware encrypted all the computers which were there in the hospital. And what was the challenge? Now the doctor who is working in the hospital cannot access the data of the patient. And this has created a serious threat for the life of the patient. What they have to do? Immediately they have to move all the patients to the nearby to save their. So similar situation was in the another hospital, where again they were able to encrypt the data, particularly where the test regarding to the coronavirus. And because of this encryption, their result got delayed by more than 10 days. And above all, both of the hospital has to pay the money to these hackers to get the decryption key to get their own data. Then we banking fraud. So if you in the India, the last 2 months, the frauds on the Paytm, frauds on the all the banking related transactions have increased. Because as of now, if I have to buy something, I do not have any option. I will do it all. So I'm making a payment money from the online portal. So what is now happening? That number of fake portals are there. And if you are, now the problem here is, if you go on the internet and search something and you try to find out the minimum price, most of these you are going to get a fake website. So you will make a payment, you will share your credit card detail, and you will end up not getting anything. And what would happen? The hacker will get your credential, and within few minutes, your credit card will be used for committing the fake transaction. So they are using every opportunity to get the money out of your pocket. And another bigger challenge is that as of now, even as far as the access to the banking facilities are concerned, it is also a very then all the product mask, other detector product which are relating to the coronavirus, which are relating to the COVID-19. Now there are a number of websites which are selling them, and 50% of them are fake. And what they are doing, they are taking the money from you. And what these fake websites are doing, they are opening the account in a fake name, or they are getting the money through the fake accounts, and they are just vanishing away. You have paid the money and you are not going to get anything done. Then now the another bigger challenge is the pornography, both adult as well as the child pornography. So access to the pornography has increased more than 95%. Adult as well as child. But in India, from the information technology, if you go on the internet, write in the Google bar child pornography, search bar, it is a criminal offense for which the punishment is 5 years. So surfing for the child pornography is a offense with the punishment of the 5 years. So in Maharashtra, they have registered, I think they have registered 133 cases where the person were accessing to the child pornography. So, and apart from that, now another there series of crime which have been reported in the last 2 months is the sex extortion and sexualized phishing scam. So here I will share that same has happened with 3 of my clients. So their Facebook account was hacked, and then they got the message that we have monitored your computer and you are accessing the pornography. And they were asking the money that you give us the money, otherwise we will share this information into your Facebook account. And one thing where I would like to share with you, when I asked from one of my clients whether you were really accessing the pornography, very strange thing is how the hacker came to know that he was accessing the pornography. At least he cannot come to know simply by hacking his Facebook account. So that means there was some spyware which was into his computer through which the hacker was monitored. Then we have now recently seen the famous case of Wise local group. I think that case is known to everyone. That is the case which has shocked the entire community, because these minor Wires were sharing the nude picture of the minor girls. They were putting the sexual comment, they were putting the vulgar obscene comment, they were putting the comment regarding the rape, rape and body shaming. So there is a controversy which is going into the media for the last few days, and we have already given our comment on it. So my comment on the legal side, on the legal aspect as well as on the technical aspect in the video on the YouTube which I have shared, the link for which I have shared. Okay. So now that this pornography has become one of the serious problems because people are idle, and in the idle time they are more exploring these sites. And here I tell you one of the interesting things, which is not as of now in India, but if we go to the Europe, in Europe, their service provider are in a position to filter the data and to see who is accessing the child pornography. If somebody is accessing the child pornography, they will file the complaint. And based on that, number of FIR have been filed by them. So accessing child pornography is a serious offense, but even the person can be arrested even though he may think nobody is observing him. But on the internet, there is a mechanism to detect the person through the moving traffic. If the traffic is not through the encryption mode, who is the person who is accessing? Then we have the cyber espionage, and recently we have seen that US has accused China of COVID-19 vaccine research. So, see why it has become very easy to espionage as of now is because most of the companies are working from home. And when the person are working from the home and employees working from the home, then employees connected to the network of the company through the VPN. So, decrypting some data when it is being passed through the VPN is very difficult. But when the data is at the end of the both end of the tunnel, both end of the encryption tunnel, then certainly here the hacker are in a position to install the spyware, get the VPN credential, and for them it has become easy to access the company server using the credential of the employees. So that is the same thing which has happened in the attack on this Ukraine power grid. In the Ukraine power grid, the same modus operandi was used by the hacker, but as of now, the biggest challenge is that the company doesn't have any choice. And apart from that, when all the employees are accessing through the VPN, it becomes very difficult for company to monitor every access into their server. So that has created a substantial scope for the hacking by the cyber criminal and to steal the data. So now that has become one of the biggest challenges for which the companies are striving for some good solution. Then now this is another group of the Iran which is involved in the espionage. What they are doing, they are exploring the vulnerability into the VPN. Once they are able to get the vulnerability into the VPN, they are able to get the credential, and in some without getting the credential, they entered through the VPN which is being used by the employee only. So they were able to get the data. So that is one of the famous cases which everyone knows. Then now everybody is communicating through the video conference. And these are the applications. Like we have the example of the Zoom. So in the Zoom, we have now the fact is evident that there was a lot of Zoom bombing, hijacking, and because the Zoom was not using end-to-end encryption, so the data was compromised. And also, since the data is being routed through the China, so there are some articles which are saying that the data of the these were some of the users is being compromised and that is being sold. That is one of the biggest issues which has come to the Zoom. But the question is bigger than that. Whether there is any application which is 100% safe, can we say that some other application is not being exposed or hacked? But the problem here is that now in this scenario, we do not have any choice. Saying if during the war, it would bleed more if we are not prepared for it in the good times. So nobody visualized that what is going to happen in the time of the coronavirus. Nobody can think about such situation. So we're not prepared for it. So that's why this challenge gets multiplied because one, there is a challenge. Second, because of the lockdown, we are not able to get the data. So then sharing the data because nobody is happening. I'm running from my office, running the office from home. So I'm sharing the entire data with the cloud, the other platform where I'm sharing my credential, I'm sharing the my user ID and password, or I'm giving the access to the person so that I can share the data. But what if I'm not? What if I do the incorrect setting? What if I do not properly consider the sharing? So that has become another big challenge. And here, even a single mistake would amount to a single my flow failure, and entire data of the company can be. So this is my mail ID. If you have any question, you can take. If you want to send me any questions subsequently, again we can always discuss. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, there are a few questions that participants have asked.
Yeah, I can give the answer to this question. So the first question is from.
Hello.
Yeah. First question is from Brisbane Code. The question, sorry. Yeah, if fake news is spread through WhatsApp, is it only the admin who is held legally responsible or the member who posted it? So, yeah, that's a very good question. So, fake news being posted through WhatsApp, the person who has posted the fake news is liable to be prosecuted. Admin is not liable because admin does not have any control over it. But if the content which is being posted is relating to the child pornography, then not only the admin, but every member who is a member of that group would be liable to be prosecuted. The second question we have, all news is by far the most credible for fact checking and data verification. Now to assess the credibility of video and photo, some comment. Since cyber threat like data breaches via social media are on the rise, should we not have an exclusive social media policy or law? See, here the problem is that such type of offense are being committed by the mistake of the user only. Because when the user is sharing the personal data on the social media, then he is creating a tunnel for the cyber criminal to commit the offense. So basically, as far as the separate social media policy, I think the Ministry of IT has a separate social media policy. Second, as far as the law is concerned, we have the various provisions to deal with such issue. That is not issue. But one of the biggest issue here is to train the people how to access the social media, to what extent they need to share their personal data. And here there is only one solution. The solution is to educate the people and to create the awareness about it. So next question we have is, MIT give a rating of 2 out of 5 to the GGSIPU application, which Government of India is encouraging citizen to install, saying that it is not an open source and the India has poor data privacy law. What are your comment about the vulnerability of the data of this application? What precaution need to be taken? So here, I would like to share with you that there is no single application in the world which is good. So when the hackers are well trained and the technical expertise, they can hack anything. So here, as far as the law is concerned, the IT Act and also in the IPC, we have a sufficient provision. If there is some data which is stolen, that provision are more stricter than the data privacy law. There is no. Second thing to look from the other perspective, that here we are only talking about the application or GGSIPU. But if you look, we are sharing our data on all the applications. And all the vendors are selling our data. But here the data is going into the hand of the government, and which I personally think that the risk is not as much when we are as compared to the risk we have in the other application. So I give you a very simple example. If I go on the internet, buy a ticket on the website of Make My Trip, I get a pop-up message that please download our application. We will give you an extra discount. Can you tell me that why Make My Trip is giving me an extra discount? Now, about 2 months back, I visited Mumbai, and I have an application of Make My Trip on my mobile. When I landed up at my airport, I got a message from Make My Trip that you can get the hotel into these rooms, and they have given me the fare of the room and also the type of room based on my history, because I earlier went to the Mumbai and I stayed into the same hotel. So all the applications are using the data in one or another way. So what I want to say is, here this application is for my health, in the larger interest of the society. But still we are doubting the integrity and the attention of the government. But otherwise, we are sharing all our data with every application regarding which we are not aware where they are going to take you. So now the decision you have to make, whether you want to share with them or compare them. So next question is, could you please brief us on the legal remedy for the victim of cybercrime? So the best way is, now there is a national portal for reporting the cybercrime. Go to the Google bar, like the national portal for cybercrime. You can directly find the complaint. And they are following the complaint with every organization, every state in the India. So that is one of the best platform. There you can file the complaint. Only the cybercrime crime is committed with you, makes you to preserve the electronic evidence in India. So that is one of the biggest challenge in the prosecution of the cybercrime. Because if you have deleted the evidence, you have now gone to the police will ask for the evidence, and if there is no evidence, police will not entertain issue. Why? Social media literacy with respect to the privacy is very low in India. What are the initiatives taken by the government for improving it? So, as far as the measures taken by the government, I would say that the government has not taken the required measure. And in fact, the government has passed the Personal Data Protection Bill 2018. Sorry, they have created the bill, Personal Data Protection Bill 2018, but it has still not been passed. So here I would say that the government has not taken the required initiative to protect the privacy of the people in India. And in India, you see, even there is a no culture of privacy. The reason, every application on my mobile is monitored. The moment I go out of my house, Google, Facebook, all the applications are monitoring my location. Here, privacy policy authorize them to surf my contract, access my mobile, and the application gives a dedicated connectivity in terms of a encrypted tunnel. So even if they access into my mobile and take some data, even I may not be aware. Though these big companies are not doing so, but if you are installing the applications of the small company or local companies, you are taking a big risk. You are taking a big risk. Because now the application of the local companies are being used for spying or taking the data out of your computer or out of your mobile. The next question is, why the algorithm that may cannot stop from fraud, why firewall does not work while sharing data? So it's a very good question, but it's a technical question. But practically happening is that in the firewall you put the rule, and you cannot put the rule for all the situations, because you never know what type of threats are likely to come. And even the hacker know sometimes, so they create their own code in such a way that it can bypass your tools which you install into the firewall. So here I would like to share one of the very famous case, Sony hack case. So that was the case because of which the entire data of the Sony was stolen by the hacker from North Korea. So then there was another very big case into the US. So there are more than I can share more than 200 case studies on that. But ultimately, the lesson which the world has learned from all these case studies that technology cannot give you the protection. What can give you the protection is the knowledge how to do it. For example, if I get a phishing mail and I download the code or I download the attachment and the spyware comes into my mobile, so that is a lesson which has come. Now, the only lesson is to create educate and spread the awareness about the security. That's the only one they give. You can install one of the best hardware, fireware, whatever you want to do. But if your employees, the person sitting behind the computer does not know how he can defend himself, and he download such type of mails which are phishing, then nobody can protect you. Only that's why now all the big companies, take Samsung, now in their new employee policy, so whenever they will give appointment letter to the employee, there is a clause in the appointment letter if you have made the mistake 3 times, downloaded the data, or you have become a victim of phishing. So that's the only way we can enforce. There is no other. And the another thing which they are doing is they are educating them again and again. So another question is how to know which digital form is more secure to use the Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Meet, Facebook. So one thing which I want to tell you is that ability can be. So the first thing to make a decision is what extent you are sharing the contribution. For example, here I am communicating with you and delivering a lecture or some session. Well, something is leaked. So depending upon the information, whether it is the ordinary information, confidential information, secret information, you have to avoid. So here, as of now, any company with the best technical skill would be able to deliver you the best. So I can say the platform of the Cisco, platform of the Google is likely to be much better as compared to other, because these are the big game who has the more resources and they have already faced this type of attack in their other places. Next question we have is what is the difference between the spam mail and the fake? See, spam mail would come with the purpose of promoting something. Fake mail would come with the objective of collecting the information so that some cybercrime can be committed. In the spam mail, they would be recommending something, they would be recommending some product, some company, or something like that. So, in the spam mail, the information is not likely to be false. But in the fake mail, it is likely to be false. In the fake mail, you may have the web link, which is the fake or redirecting to a fake website. But in the spam mail, the objective would be to make the money through marketing. So that will be with the objective of marketing. Fake mail would be with the objective of committing a fraud. So that is the difference. So the next question we have is why not cyber education does not incorporate from the school level? I think this is a good question that should be done. In fact, in my session for the last 5 days, for the last 2 days, I am taking a session on child pornography, and that will continue for the next 3 days after this local room case. So first thing we are recommending is that every school should put the education related to the cyber in their own curriculum. And in fact, I would tell you that in the state of Kerala, they have introduced the cyber education from the school. So that initiative has been taken by the Kerala police. So they have formed one committee, and then one of the NGO organization, they created the content and they were able to do it. And in fact, that is the need of hour. So any other questions?
Thank you so much, sir. I think you've answered quite generously all the questions today. Thank you so much. Sir, thank you so much again for delivering such an informative session that is of utmost relevance, especially during these unprecedented times when cyberspace or digital space are the driving force globally. Cybersecurity is one of the biggest challenges for us to deal with at present. We have which has left us so vulnerable and so much more exposed to fake news and privacy issues. Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of the University School of Management Studies, I would like to extend my appreciation for being so generous with answering all the questions today and being so patient with us. Thank you so much, sir, for this session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Amit, sir, you can take over now.
So it was a very nice session in the afternoon today. So we'll be ending very soon, and by tonight you will be getting all the participants will be getting their links for the tomorrow's session. Thank you very much. So
Thank you, Amit.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.